And welcome back to Wandering Through Wayne's World. With me is Pam or Pamela Feinberg-Rivkin.
Yes.
And the name of your company?
It's Feinberg Consulting.
Okay. Feinberg Consulting is really different than most other companies that do the same thing. So let's tell everybody what you do, and then we'll talk about how you differ. So you're a senior healthcare consultant.
Well,
right?
actually, 17 years ago, I started in Michigan providing traumatic brain injury services. And in that regard, we coordinate services for people with auto accidents and coordinate the services for traumatic brain injury, spinal cord injury, and any other type of catastrophic injuries. We have since then developed into the aging population where we provide the geriatric care management. However, there are a lot of people who have falls and injuries as a result have a traumatic brain injury as well. So specialization, I'm a certified case manager, registered nurse first of all, a certified case manager and a certified rehab nurse. So providing that coordination of care from the time that someone's injured in the hospital, making recommendations, and following a family through the process of their rehabilitation and services and coordinating everything for an improved quality of life and their rehabilitation status.
So let me ask you this. I guess in this case, you're dealing a lot with family members.
Oh, for sure.
And that's got to be very difficult. That has to be a skill in itself.
Yes, the family members are the ones that need to have the direction and the guidance in order to make the decisions, and ultimately that's very difficult. So we work with the families in setting up certain goals that they would like to see achieved for their loved one, and then we work through the process of these are the goals that they would like to see happen for their loved one, and set up the services accordingly and guide the families through that, whether it's emotionally, physically, whatever that may be, because it's very difficult and for families to see their loved ones suffer. So we provide the support for those families and at the same time coordinating all the services needed for them.
Do you coordinate services for in-home where they're going to be taken care of in-home and as well as outbound services?
Yes. We look at what the family wants, what the finances would be for them, and look at the circumstances. Can someone go home and be cared for at home? Are the financial resources there for that family to have their loved one home? Or is it a transition period going from hospital to a rehab center and then maybe to home? So we look at all circumstances and make the recommendations accordingly.
You know, it's interesting because when you go to the hospital, they ask you if you have a living will. And one of the things that they ask you is, what do you want done if you become vegetable, basically? Mm-hmm. And I come from a family of 4. My mom, my dad, me, and my brother. Me and my mom exactly the same. If that happens, pull the plug. I don't want to burden anybody. My dad, my brother, hey, you do what you can, and you keep it alive, because sometimes they're going to figure out some answer. It's got to be really hard for a family to make a determination what to do when you're involved with someone with a brain injury and how serious that injury can be, because there's a quality of life and a quantity of life.
Sure. And at the beginning of their injury, it is really hard to tell what their life trajectory will be. So I always say to families that there are miracles that happen. I always say to family members, you need to have the rehabilitation take its focus. You need to trust the physicians. You need to be in the right facility, the right hospital, the right care, because there are situations where people do come out of comas and do well. You have to have some time on your hand in order to make those decisions. And of course, there are tests that can be done to determine, is there any brain activity whatsoever? If there's no brain activity and the physician saying there's nothing that we can do, you need to then take some guidance from the healthcare professionals in making the decisions that would be best for your loved one and your family.
Is this a situation that should be pre-planned within a family?
You can do the best you can with pre-planning. When it comes to catastrophic injuries, we always think that nothing's going to ever happen to us. And unfortunately, as we age, there are a lot of families that feel that we're really meant to live forever. But with aging, everything should be pre-planned. We should plan as we go forward with a living will, making decisions for ourselves before something happens, so that the family members know exactly what your wants and needs are. But of course, there are always circumstances that you can't plan for, and you just have to have the family to rely on.
And it's interesting because I have a very good friend from when I was a kid, and him and his wife were riding their bicycle, okay, by the beach, and she fell off the bicycle onto the sand and hit her head and was in a coma. This is on the sand,
Right.
okay? So we never know what's really going to happen.
No.
You know, 2.5 years ago, I went in the hospital with what looked to be pneumonia and was on my deathbed. They didn't expect I was ever getting out. I caught a very rare lung illness. So we don't know what to expect in our lives, and we should have maybe not a definitive plan, but an idea maybe
Sure.
of what happens. You know, my mom is 81, and knock wood, and you know, she has her ailments. She says she has a little bit of dementia or Alzheimer's, but God knows I forget everything too. So I don't know if she's any worse than me. The only thing I know is she shouldn't be driving. Okay, but do we prepare something like that? Like she's living on her own.
Yeah, we as care managers can look at the situation and provide some guidance for families. And I really encourage someone to make their wishes and known. So absolutely, it's particularly as you age, prepare and plan for your family, and know that your mother may want to stay at home. If it's possible, then you would want to make that her wish and be able to have someone available to help you make that happen for her. If it's not possible, then what kind of facility would she, what kind of social things does she like to have? What kind of activities can she do? And what would create the most quality for her life? 24
hours a day of bingo.
Then she needs to be in a bingo place.
Yeah, she needs to be in a bingo. Okay, well, at the top of our time, how do people reach you?
Well, I can be reached at 877-538-5425. We're in Southeast, Southwest Florida and Central Florida, and we are also in the entire state of Michigan. So I would hope I can answer any phone calls, any questions, any concerns that you may have, and give some guidance.
Do you have a website?
I do. It's FeinbergConsulting.com, FEINBERG Consulting.com.
I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank
I want
you.
to also thank you for being patient. We kind of kept you in the green room for a bit, but you were talking to Melissa,
Yeah,
so
I
it's
had
always
a really nice conversation.
Yeah, but today was just like a backed up crazy day. But guys, this is something that we always think it's never going to happen to us, never going to happen to us, never going to happen to us. And I'm not saying that you have to call Pam tomorrow, but take the information off the screen and write it down. Put it in your book. It doesn't hurt. If people have books anymore, okay? Put it in your smartphone. It doesn't hurt to have. I tell you that when it comes to attorneys, because you can have a car accident. We live in Florida tomorrow, and you don't know what to do, and you make your worst decisions when you're under that kind of pressure.
Absolutely. And when crisis situations, I could not be the case manager for my family. I would want someone to take care of what I would need, because in crisis situations we can't think straight.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always know, particularly if you're not in the healthcare field, you don't know the resources, and you're relying on the next person to tell you what to do. That person may know what to do, that person may not really know, but only heard something. So it is best to take some professional advice. Everyone has professional advice, as you say, from an attorney, from a CPA, from a party planner, anyone to guide you into what you don't know, particularly healthcare. And now with the healthcare reform and what's happening now, we need some guidance.
Just keep the number. Hopefully you'll never have to use it, okay? But the moment you need to use it, it's the best thing in the world to have. And I always think that one should be prepared. I had a golden retriever. He lived to 18 years old. And he got sick, and he wasn't in any pain, but I knew he was going to pass on, and I didn't know what to do. I live in a condo. You can't bury it in the backyard. I didn't know what to do. And I said, you know what? I got to go by my own rules and prepare. So I called around, and I found a company that comes, picks up the dog, cremates it, and brings it back. I had the number. 3 days later, my dog passed on. They came, perfect care, took care of my dog, cremated him, brought him back in a wood engraved box with a velour cover. It would have been miserable for me to have to do that at that time.
Sure.
Okay? So, God forbid you're in a car accident or a family member's in a car accident, you have to make these determinations. At least you have some information from what we gave you today, and if you take Pam's number and put it on the side, you'll always have it. It doesn't cost you anything to save a phone number. And you might even have a question. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer a question.
I would love to be able to help answer any questions that someone would be able to would have. Again, it's 877-538-5425. My name is Pam Feinberg. I'm the owner of Feinberg Consulting, and we do have a wonderful website with all of our care managers on that. We have a lot of credentials, a lot of experience behind us in regard to helping your families.
With that, everybody, have a great day. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.